All right, it's 7:01 p.m. We're going to begin this regular meeting of the Rutherford Board of Education, April 8th, 2024. Ask everyone to please stand, face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll ask Mr. Kelly to please take roll.
Mr. Bogosian? Mrs. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Healy?
Here.
I'm sorry, Mr. Conti?
Present.
Mrs. Jones?
Present.
Mr. Mazzone?
Here.
Dr. Racine?
Here.
Mr. Sprayberry? Dr. Rolati?
Here.
You have a quorum, thank you.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meeting of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Rutherford Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place posted on the bulletin board outside the Borough Clerk's office, mailed to the Herald, South Bergenite, and the Record newspapers, and filed with the Borough Clerk. Hard copies of the agenda are available in the meeting room, and the agenda is posted electronically on Friday before the meeting date on the district's website at www.rutherfordschools.org. Subsequent to the meeting, a video of the meeting will be uploaded to the district's website, www.rutherfordschools.org. The video link can be found by opening the Board of Education link and clicking on Public Meetings and then Videos. So board members, there are minutes to approve for the regular meeting and executive session of March 11, 2024. Are there any comments or questions about those? Seeing none, I'll ask Mr. Kelly to please enter those. We'll move over to the report of the student representative, Ms. Bimson.
Yeah. Good evening. This past month has had lots of academic and extracurricular activities for RHS. Choir students performed at Carnegie Hall this past Saturday to work with college conductors and get a new musical experience in a different environment. Psychology Club sold stress balls and stickers for a donation to an Alzheimer's organization. The junior formal was this past Friday, where juniors enjoyed a Great Gatsby themed night. And speaking of juniors, they also completed their NJGPA testing this past month. The girls lacrosse team is continuing their undefeated season from last year, and with one player for North Jersey Lacrosse Player of the Week up for voting. 2 FBLA members placed third in the FBLA Sports and Entertainment Management competition in Atlantic City. They participate in national finals in June in Orlando. Looking forward, the RHS Music Department has many exciting things coming forward. The RHS Popser is April 10th in the auditorium, and the Choir and Band Spring Concert is May 2nd. Any World Language Honor Society student will be inducted on May 1st. And academic decathlon starters are participating in virtual national finals in the upcoming week. So many RHS students are very proud of them keeping their streak alive. AP tests are now soon approaching, and many students are using spring break to take a break from academics and also prepare for these big tests in May. Finally, with the end of the year quickly approaching, Photo Club has begun taking photos for the 2023-2024 yearbook. The high school kids look forward to the spring season and this new season, and also the closing of a well-rounded year. Thank you.
All right, thank you. A lot of good information there. Questions or comments from board members?
How was the testing?
It was good. I'm pretty sure if I'm not mistaken, 2 students did.
You took it too, right?
Yeah, everyone took it. It was overall good.
Okay.
I don't think the scores are back yet. I'm not sure.
No, but did you find it hard? Or,
No. I mean, I thought it was all right.
Good.
Most people thought so.
The test?
Yeah.
Well, some students find it hard, but not Poppy.
Not that hard, then we'd be in trouble.
No, it's a relatively challenging test, but it's. I think we've done a lot of things also, like we've been talking about, right, to try to prepare students better for it.
Yeah, there was a lot of preparation for my teachers. Like every Monday, my English teacher would do like practice tests, or math. They did like a full week of practice problems, like
Right.
dedicated
And
to the
that's
type of stuff.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it was helpful.
Right, and we've been saying and talking about this. The test is based, and the same with the test that the other students take. throughout the district they're based on the state standards, right? And the standards is what our curriculum is based on. So, when we're talking about test prep, we're really not talking about test prep. We're talking about making sure we're hitting the standards in our lessons and providing students the opportunity for the type of questions that they're going to encounter when they take the test. So I think, we're hopefully going to see some of the dividends in that. It's always impressive, though, to hear the variety of activities that the students not only participate in, but excel in. In that report, she talked about the arts, and she talked about academics, and she talked about athletics, and she talked about community service. It's really remarkable. And one thing I do want to add is, and I don't know if you mentioned it, but if you do, I apologize, but I do want to thank Mr. Scuddy, guidance counselor, and Dr. Hopkins, the whole guidance staff, and Mr. Morano. But Mr. Scuddy was really the driving force behind a career day at the high school. Probably had 20 or so, maybe more, vocational schools, trades, unions, military, police, public service, different beauty schools, different career choices for kids. And I think all the juniors went down, if I'm not mistaken, and seniors who were interested went down. And it was really very, I think, well received, and I think it gave a lot of our students some options that they may not know even existed in terms of career choices. So it really was a very successful day. And I believe in our digital newsletter that's going to be coming out, it's going to be one of the things highlighted. So you get to see more about it.
Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none. Well, Poppy, thank you very much. We always appreciate your board reports, and you're more than free to stay if you'd like to, and if you have other commitments, we understand. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gia, yeah, she's still voting.
All right, we're going to move on now to the report of the superintendent.
Thank you. Brief report tonight. Well, I did send in the communication a list of many activities that are going out, through June till the end of the year, and then I'll just, edit those in subsequent communications. One thing, though, I would advise you to do is just check the school calendar, double check, because I get these off a master calendar that comes out earlier, and I did try to check with all the principals, see if anything has changed, and a couple of things did change a little, so I think it's up to date, but just, if you get a chance, if you're playing or going to a play or a concert or art show, just, double check the calendar. I made an error in the date of committee meetings. And on what I gave to you folks in January, May 1st is a Wednesday night. So we don't meet on Wednesday night, I have to watch Survivor. I can't meet on Wednesday night. But the May 6th is the date that we should be meeting ahead of the May 13th board meeting. So I'll send something out to everyone. And we're also looking at probably needing a building and grounds meeting as well that night. So we're looking at personnel, curriculum and instruction, and building and grounds. I think all of them, none of them will be very long meetings. I think we get all three accomplished in half-hour slots. So I'll double check with Mr. Kelly and Mr. Ryan, because they're involved in these committees as well, and Mr. Gamboa, and I'll send you out ahead of the next board packet. I'll send the whole board out the correction and when the meetings will be, and confirm times and things like that. Okay, so I apologize for that. I did mention the school performance report. I sent you a sheet with the summary for the district. It's a rather long and detailed report. It is on the website if you want to look at it. Like I said, nothing there is surprising, because most of it comes from the testing, and also it's just from other reports that we have to submit throughout the year. But I do think it's some very positive information. I do see, and in digging a little deeper into the report, I do see some improvement in areas like, for example, our subgroups in Hispanic student test scores. District-wide, there's been some slight improvement over past years. I've seen some improvements in the overall scores. And I like to think it has to do with some of the work we're all doing, the faculty's doing, in terms of addressing some concerns we have. In the big picture, you may have noticed some very, I think, positive things. For example, in our 11th and 12th graders, 79% are earning college credit through dual enrollment classes, which means they're taking courses here that give them credit from either FDU through the middle college program or through Bergen Community. And the state average for that is 24%. So that's, that's a tremendous, I think, opportunity. Plus, we have 50% of our students enrolled in AP classes, 11th and 12th grade. State average is at 34%. So, we're showing, I think, a lot of positive things there. The state talks about at-risk students, and they really are talking about, and you've probably been reading a lot about it in recent years, chronically absent students. And they figure that based on being absent 10% of the school year, which is why our attendance policy and many attendance policies use 18 days as a measurement for, if you go over 18 days, you lose credit, because that's approximately, right, 10%. If you looked at the data that's in the state report, we have about 5% of our students who are at risk, hovering around that 18-day absence. The state's at almost 17%. So again, there's a lot of factors that we're doing, I think, very well, and we should be proud of. Our test scores, like I've said, we want to do better, but we are exceeding the standard in language arts for student growth, and we are close to exceeding. We're a couple of points away in math. Now, one of the things you hear me say every October or November when I report test scores is that the state sells the test scores on the concept of student growth, yet we report every year based on a comparison or a contrast from this year's fifth graders compared to last year's fifth graders. What we really should be looking at are last year's fifth graders, how do they do in sixth grade, right? Because we want to see growth. They have that data, but it's not what they advertise and not what we have to report on. And in student growth, we're doing pretty well, okay? Because we're exceeding or right at that line of exceeding. In performing on the assessments, the graph is green is good, blue is great. We're close to blue in language arts. We're kind of in the middle of green in math. Again, I don't think that's good enough. That's why we're working to do better. But not being good enough is different from not being good, right? So I think the report shows a lot of good things. It does show some areas that we need to work on. And like, we've been saying, we're not afraid to do the work to work on those areas and to get them better. So if you get a chance, you want to go through the full report, is there on the website. And then just a reminder, obviously, that we are on break next week. Schools closed for the week. The district offices and the buildings are closed on Monday and Tuesday. They're open for 12-month employees who choose not to use vacation time and come in. So there'll be people in the buildings if there's any need. I'm probably going to be out for a couple of days, and I'll be in the office a couple of days as well, but I'm always reachable. Unfortunately, I'm always. But if you need me, you can reach me. Okay? And that's it for my report.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Early. Questions or comments? Mr. Ely?
One question about the industry valued credentials.
Those are VOTEC courses.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What would be an example of?
If you had a auto repair program or something like that. Yeah. So traditional VOTEC education, which is why you see, we don't have that, but you see the state's at 1.8%. Right. Right. And one of the things that happened with vocational schools years ago is the state decided to cut back funding to those programs, and many of them have gone by the wayside. They're starting to make a comeback, and they do rank it as a high, something that they really want to promote, yet they really have cut back on a lot of the funding in past years for that education.
Thank you.
All right. We are going to move on then to the report of the president. To start, I want to continue to elevate and acknowledge the academic committees that are doing all that great work that is reflected in our curriculum and instruction committee and all of the changes and things we're approving. And I think everyone received the recent newsletter that was sent home, had a really good summary of work that was being done in the committees too, so that the larger community is aware of all the things that are going on. Mr. Hurley mentioned the district newsletter, the digital letter that comes out. And the first letter, there was an article I focused on the idea of us being a strategic board. And for the second article, it was about board evaluation. And so for the third, based on feedback and what made sense, the article that's coming out is going to be on committee work and board committees and how we work in board committees to do the things we do. So I think that should be something helpful for the community to see. Hopefully, look forward to that newsletter. I wanted to thank the board members who were involved with the negotiations for the Rutherford Administrators Association and Rutherford Supervisors Association contracts. You'll see those are up for approval this evening. We had successful negotiation meetings that really, I think, reflected mutual respect and understanding and really trying to understand priorities. And I think everyone's walking away feeling that the contracts are fair on all ends. So I want to thank all the board members for their time and also members of the RAA and RSA who were involved in those conversations as well. We have a few events as usual coming up that we can all participate in just to be involved. And I'm just going to highlight a couple at the end of the year. There's obviously shows and Pop Cert and all those fun things. Every year there's an end of the year party, and it's on June 13th this year. And I'm particularly elevating it because we have some big people who are going to be retiring this year and leaving the district. So it's an opportunity if we want to elevate our presence there. It's on June 13th. There'll be advertisements to be able to purchase tickets. Be a nice opportunity. It's at the Gray Cliff, starts at 5:30 p.m. And then our Union Middle School graduation's on June 19th. And I know I told everyone last time, June 20th, Rutherford High School graduation, 6:30 p.m. Be there. And finally, just kudos on the profile of graduate work that Mr. Hurley and his team have done in the district to put that together. I think it's going to be really exciting when that's unveiled for the community. That's it for my report. Any questions?
What was the date of the end of the year, June 15th?
June 13th.
13th. Thank you. That's a Thursday?
Yes.
It's usually a Thursday, okay.
Any questions or comments? All right, hearing none, then it's 7:19 p.m. We're going to open the meeting to the public for anything related to or not related to the agenda. Seeing no comments, we're going to close the meeting at 7:19 p.m. and we're going to move on to new business where there is action to be taken. And we will start with personnel. Mrs. Cole.
Good evening. So tonight we have 29 motions to put forward tonight under personnel. Number one is the approval for a resignation at Rutherford High School. Number two is to approve the submission of the proposed contract of the superintendent of schools to the executive county superintendent for his review. Number three, to approve submission of the proposed contract for the BA board secretary to the executive county superintendent for his review. Number four, to approve submission of the proposed contract for the school BA board secretary to the executive county superintendent for his review. Number 5 and 6 is to approve the contract between the Rutherford Board of Ed and the Rutherford Administrators Association and the Rutherford Board of Ed with the Rutherford Supervisors Association from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027. Number 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 are the approvals of replacement positions. Number 12 is the approval of an adjustment in the start date for a substitute teacher at Union Middle School. Number 13 is the approval for a long-term substitute consultant in the business office. Number 14 is the approval of a long-term substitute elementary teacher at Washington School. Number 15, the approval for a coordinator instructor for the summer band. Number 16 is the approval for a counselor for the Bulldog Care Program. Number 17 is the approval for Helping Hands for the Bulldog Care Program as listed. Number 18 is the approval of a transfer from Washington School to the Lincoln Washington Case Center. Number 19 is the approval of the adjustment in disability leave with pay. Number 20 and 21 is to approve a disability leave with pay. Number 22 is the approval of an extension of a leave of absence. Number 23 is the approval of an extension of a disability leave. Number 24 is the approval of an adjustment in the start date for disability leave with pay. Number 25 is the approval of a volunteer assistant girls lacrosse coach. Number 26 is to approve the following substitute teachers for the 23-24 school year as listed. Number 27 is to approve the following substitute teacher assistants for the 23-24 school year. And number 28 is to approve the following travel reimbursements for the 23-24 school year as listed. And number 29 is to also approve the following travel reimbursements for the 24-25 school year as listed.
All right, thank you. Questions or comments from board members? Dr. Racine?
Just for clarity, for 3 and 4, my dates weren't on here, but is Mr. Kelly's contract till July 31st?
We don't want to use the other gentleman's name. I know, but we're not public. The contract, Mr. Kelly's retiring August 1st, so he has to have a contract, and the contract is a 12-month contract that's prorated. That's how it was approved. You have to have BA contracts. You can't just do a 1-month contract. Okay. This has always been the case that for a business administrator or a superintendent, those two contracts and a whole lot of supporting data has to go to the county for approval before the board can approve it. This year, the State Department of Education added a resolution requirement to submit for approval. So in the past, my contract or Joe's contract would go up there, and then you'd get it after the county approved it to approve. But they've changed. They want a resolution saying the board's approving the submission of the contract.
That my next question was, do we approve it again? We do.
Yeah, because you didn't approve the contract. You simply approved that I'm submitting.
Submission,
Right.
They always-
It's similar to the merit pay thing where you have to approve submission, and it's similar to that.
This is the first year we're doing it this way.
Yeah, it's welcome to the state. No, I don't want to say that. So that's what that's about.
All right.
Yeah. I do also want to mention that you see a accounts payable person and then coming in for 1 month. We have jobs in the business office, like all the jobs in the business office are including Mr. Kelly's, are extremely, extremely important jobs, obviously, right? We can't function without that. But they're all singletons. Everybody's got a unique job. They do it, no one else does it. So we're trying to arrange things where we could bring somebody in so they get a couple of weeks under their belt working side by side with the individual who's leaving. So that we don't, so we have our bills paid in a timely fashion and things like that. Because as you can imagine, it's a really voluminous job and a rather complicated one. So that's why you'll see that being done. Okay?
Thank you. Makes sense now.
In number 13, a long-term substitute consultant. What?
That's the person I was just talking about.
Oh, it is. Okay, great. There you go.
We have to call her. We can't, because again, you can't pay two people in the same title at the same time. It's all these bureaucratic rules.
Got it. So related to that, my other question, 26 and 27, this one person is listed as both a substitute teacher and substitute teacher assistant. Is that?
Yeah, that happens a lot because they're willing to work whatever there's a job opening for.
Got
There's
it.
a different rate of pay, and different. So if someone wants to be on both sub lists, they can be called.
Got it.
Okay. And one other comment, I'm pleased that band camp is back. During COVID, it was gone, and then for a couple of years because of construction, we couldn't have a site for it. So it's back, and that's salary like some of the other, like the summer enrichment program. That money comes out of the tuition that comes in it's a self-sustaining program.
Got it. All right, Mrs. Cole, do you want to approve those?
Yes, I'd like to move motions 1 to 29 under personnel.
All right, do we have a second? Mr. Conti, any last questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll ask Mr. Kelly to please take roll.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzone?
Yes.
Dr. Racine?
Yes.
Dr. Oladi?
Yes.
Motion's carried. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on now to curriculum and instruction. Ms. Jones.
Thank you. We did have a curriculum instruction meeting on April 1st. In attendance was Mr. Hurley, Mr. Charles Ryan, Christina Cole, Dr. Alati, and Dennis Mason, and myself. Curriculum was up for approval and many courses. I won't say them all. The other thing that was discussed was pre-K 3 and pre-K 4 enrollment is complete. Summer programs for the Summer Enrichment Academy will be again held at Lincoln School. Miscellaneous was the profile of the Rutherford graduate. And we did have the other professional development day this past week on April 3rd. And hopefully we don't need another one, but if we do, that might be forthcoming. Motion number 1 is curriculum guides and platform management platform as listed. 2 out-of-district placements, 3 service providers, 4 field trips, now totaling 152, 5 another service provider for functional behavior assessments, and 6 to approve the following to provide evaluations for the child study team as needed. 7, harassment, intimidation, and bully decision. And 8, an overnight trip for the track and field state championships on June 7th and 8th. Is that an automatic? Are they already there?
No, you have to earn the spot.
Right.
But overnight trips have to be approved, so we do it just in
And
case.
that's that. That's it. 1 to 8.
All right, thank you. Questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, Ms. Jones, you want to move this?
I move resolutions 1 through 8 under curriculum and instruction.
All right, do we have a second? Mr. Mazzone, any last questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Kelly, please take roll.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzone?
Yes.
Dr. Racine?
Yes.
Dr. Oladi?
Yes.
Motion's carried. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll move on now to finance. In Mr. Bogosian's absence, I'll ask Dr. Racine to carry us through.
Like an encore.
That's it, encore.
There are 4 items tonight. I'll do the no finance meetings to the last meeting here. 4 items tonight. Number 1, the bills. Number 2, our reports. Number 3, budget transfer. And 4, to approve Phoenix advisors as our community advisors.
Done like a pro.
Yep.
All right, questions or comments? Hearing none, you want to move those, Dr. Racine?
I'd like to move items 1 through 4 in finance.
Okay, do we have a second? Mr. Healy? Any last questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Kelly, please take roll.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzone?
Yes.
Dr. Racine?
Yes.
Dr. Oladi?
Yes.
Motion's carried. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to policy now. Mr. Healy?
Yes, we did not have a policy committee meeting since our last board meeting. Tonight, as a second reading, there's one resolution with 19 policies and/or regulations being put forth for approval tonight.
Okay,
As listed.
thank you. This is the second reading for these. Any questions or comments? Hearing none?
I'd like to put these forth.
All right,
One resolution.
we have a second. Mr. Conti, any last questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Kelly, please take roll.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzone?
Yes.
Dr. Racine?
Yes.
Dr. Oladi?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on now to buildings and grounds. In Mr. Sprayberry's absence, Mrs. Jones. Carry us
We did
through.
not have a buildings and grounds meeting, and there are no motions on the agenda for this evening.
All right, tough one. All right, we're going to move on now to old business. Is there any old business? Mr. Conti?
I attended the Pierpont Choir concert last week.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty awesome, I have to say.
Nice.
The kids did a great job, and Miss Jordan did an awesome job as always. So,
Awesome. Good. Anything else? All right, then we'll move on to legislative update. Mr. Jones?
Well, when I saw this one, I couldn't resist it because upcoming tonight for the NCAA final game. This is Assembly Bill 4141, which came through last week on 4/4/2024. Representative Sean Keane from Monmouth and Ocean County. Requires New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association to adopt policy on use of instant replay as playoff tournament basketball games. The head coach of each team shall be permitted a maximum of 2 games clock rechecked or challenging. 2 games, that's what it says, check for the challenging for each game. Instant replay in high school?
Well, there was a national news story at the end of the state tournament in boys basketball this year when an obvious mistake at the end of the game was made by the official that allowed one team to go forward and win at a buzzer when it was, the shot should have been good, right? And it was very clear. I mean, it was very obvious. And, but the bylaws do not allow for instant replay, and the bylaws do not allow an official's decision to be overturned, even though anybody who saw it, anybody who was there knew that that team didn't win the game. So it's happened once in that was this proportion in 100 years, but now we're going to have this legislation, and probably he's from the district that the team that lost, but you know, it would only be in the state tournament. You know, I don't know. It's the way everything's going.
I know, when I saw it, I said, oh, well, this is nice, it's a good night to mention that one.
But yeah, it was all over. I mean, it was all over all the network programming and all that.
Manasquan, Camden?
Yeah, Manasquan, Camden, yep.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones. At 7:34 p.m., we're going to open the meeting up to the public for anything related to or not related to the agenda.
Oh,
Wow.
No, I'm just gonna, real quick. It was mentioned by the student representative, but the RHS choir sang at Carnegie Hall. I have a program here that I'd like to share with you. But a big shout out to Patricia Blanchard for organizing this whole thing, and it was an amazing concert and such an amazing experience, so.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
How many went, Colleen, the whole group?
Oh, it was over 30.
Wow.
It kind of makes the school board performance look not as important now, you know, Carnegie Hall, right? I mean, you know, the cafeteria in Atlantic City Convention Center, but still it was nice. That's where they got their start.
All right. Any other open session comments? Hearing none, we're going to close the meeting at 7:35 p.m. We do have a need for an executive session for one student issue. Should be out 5 minutes at the most. No action to be taken. Need a motion to go into executive session. Mrs. Cole, seconded by Mr. Healy. All in favor?
aye.
All right. We are going into executive session. Thank you.